Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is scary, funny people. You know the ones, those people that make you laugh until you cry, and then you realize what they said was none that funny, and now you're scared for your life. Let's get into it. Number 10, Jeff. Jeff was one of those classic clowns that performed at birthday parties, but unlike other clowns that just tell jokes and make balloon animals, Jeff was a bit more extreme. I mean, he would pull out live mice from his sleeves and then throw them into the crowd. One time, during a party, he pulled a screaming baby from his pants. The parents were horrified, but Jeff just stood there with a big smile on his face and said, "Anyone want a free pass to the freak show?" That clown was fired immediately. No nine, Harry. Harry was the type of guy who always had a joke ready. He was a stand-up comedian, but his jokes were pretty dark. One day during a show, he turned to the audience and asked, "What do you call a Jewish kid who's really good at baseball?" "A Heil." Before he could even finish his sentence, the whole club went silent. Everyone stared at him in disbelief. And then all of a sudden, someone shouted, get out of here." The next thing Harry knew, he was surrounded by angry people ready to fight. He ran off stage and out of the club as fast as he could. To this day, he still gets nightmares about that show. Number 8, John Wayne. When you meet John Wayne, he seems like the nicest guy ever, but if you look closer, you can see that there's something sinister lurking beneath his surface. John Wayne has a strange obsession with knives. He can't sleep unless he's holding a knife in his hand, and he's always talking about how many knives he has hidden around his house. His friends are starting to get worried about him. But John Wayne doesn't care. He's too busy counting his knives. Number 7, Gary. Gary was the type of person who always had to have the last word. It didn't matter if he was in a conversation or not. He just had to get his 2 cents in. One day, Gary was at a restaurant when a group of men walked in. They were loud and obnoxious, and Gary couldn't help but stare at them. One of the guys noticed Gary staring at him and walked over to his table. "Can I help you?" he asked. Gary just pointed to the guy's crotch and said, "That's a weird place for a hat." The guy was taken aback by Gary's comment, and before he could respond, Gary stood up and said, "Actually, I think I'm going to sit over there instead." As he walked away, he heard the guy yell, "Hey man, I'm going to kill you." Gary just laughed and sat down at another table. No 6, Kevin. Kevin was a normal guy who worked at a normal job. He had a wife and kids and a mortgage to pay. But Kevin had a secret. He was obsessed with death. He would spend hours watching videos of people dying, and he would talk to his friends about how he wanted to die. One day at work, Kevin was talking to his co-worker about his weekend plans. "I'm going to watch a video of a guy being decapitated," he said nonchalantly. His co-worker was disgusted and told Kevin that he needed to get a grip on himself. "You're scaring me," he said. Kevin just smiled and replied, "Good, because death is the only thing that scares me." No. 5, George. George was an elderly gentleman who lived in a nursing home. He was a kind and gentle soul who never caused any trouble. But one day, the staff at the nursing home found George hanging in his room. He had used his walker to prop himself up and a belt to hang himself. The staff was shocked. They had no idea that George was considering suicide. As they cut him down, they saw a note in his hand. It read, "I'm not old, I'm just vintage." Number 4, Rick. Rick was a quiet guy who kept to himself. He was the type of guy who wouldn't hurt a fly, but there was something about him that made people uncomfortable. One day in high school, Rick was sitting at lunch when a group of guys walked up to him. "What's your name, loser?" one of them asked. Rick responded, "Rick." "Well, Rick, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse," he said. Before Rick could respond, the guy punched him in the stomach. Rick was in pain, but he didn't fight back. He just looked at the guy and said, "You know, you shouldn't have done that." The guy was confused. "What do you mean?" he asked. Rick just smiled and said, "Nope, now I'm going to kill you." The guy was scared and he ran away. Rick just sat there smiling. He had no intention of actually killing the guy, but it was fun to scare him. No 3 Andy. Andy was the type of person who always had to be in control. He was a manager at a large corporation, and he was known for being a micromanager. His employees hated him, but he didn't care. One day, Andy was giving a presentation to his team when he started to feel a tickle in his throat. He tried to ignore it, but it just got worse. Pretty soon, he couldn't stop coughing. His employees stared at him awkwardly as he tried to regain his composure, but it was no use. Andy had to excuse himself and run to the bathroom. As he stumbled out of the bathroom, his employees stopped staring at him and started laughing. Andy was furious, but there was nothing he could do. He was just a big red-faced ball of anger. No. 2. Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish is a singer-songwriter who rose to fame in the early 2010s. She's known for her unique style and dark lyrics. Some people find her music to be creepy, but that's just part of her charm. One day, Billie Eilish was performing a song when she stopped suddenly. "I have to leave the stage," she said. Her fans were confused, but they understood that sometimes artists just need a break. So they waited patiently while Billie Eilish left the stage. When she came back, she was wearing a different outfit and her hair was dyed a different color. But it was her eyes that really stood out. They were glowing green. Her fans were freaked out, but they were also intrigued. What had happened to Billie Eilish? Had she turned into a green-haired, green-eyed monster? Number 1. David Attenborough. David Attenborough is the voice of nature documentaries. He's best known for narrating the BBC series Planet Earth. His voice is soothing and calming, which makes him the perfect narrator for nature documentaries. But some people find his voice to be a little creepy. There's something about his voice that makes me feel like he's judging me. One day, David Attenborough was filming a documentary about snakes when he came across a deadly cobra. "This snake is highly venomous," he said calmly. "Its bite can kill a human in less than 20 minutes. Just then, a snake charmer approached the cobra. "Don't worry," the snake charmer said confidently. "I'm not afraid of snakes." David Attenborough continued filming as the snake charmer got closer and closer to the cobra. "And here we see the snake charmer playing a tune on his flute," he said. "The cobra is mesmerized by the music and doesn't strike." As the camera got closer to the cobra, we could see its fangs glistening in the sun. "And now, the snake charmer is going to milk the cobra," David Attenborough said. "This is a dangerous procedure, but the snake charmer is skilled and experienced, and there is no doubt that he will succeed." We watched as the snake charmer milked the cobra. "And here we have it," David Attenborough said. "The snake charmer has successfully milked the cobra." I couldn't help but feel like David Attenborough was mocking us. Like he knew we were terrified, and he was just making it worse on purpose. Thank you so much for watching. That was my Scary Funny People video. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe.